Establishing a clinical documentation improvement program for your physician practice does not have to be a daunting task. I want to talk about 5 simple steps that you can use to implement your program. First, you want to do a situation analysis. Situation analysis is really where you're looking at your reports, your denials report, your rejection reports. You want to speak with members of your workforce. What are challenges that they see when they're trying to carry out their day-to-day responsibilities? This includes the front end, the registration desk, all the way to the billing and coding department. Doing this situation analysis will allow you to come up with goals for your program. Now, you know that old statement, go big or go home? That does not apply here. Start small. Establish SMART goals so that you can build on them year after year. The second step is to do an initial documentation review. So now I know the first thing you want to know is, well, how many encounters should I be looking at? I recommend 20 to 40 per provider. And I know that that may seem like an overwhelming task. So maybe you break your providers up and do a few per month until you can get through your entire workforce of providers. The reason why I recommend anywhere from 20 to 40 is that that's enough data to really give you areas of opportunity for improvement. It will also set you up for step number 3 and 4. And when you do this documentation review, it's very important that you have a tool that you're using to measure your documentation. So you're looking at your office visit services. If your provider is performing procedures, you're looking at your procedures. You're looking at your diagnoses. Now, after you've conducted the documentation review, next step is to report on what you found. Now, every organization is different in terms of their structure, their size, their organizational culture. And so in reporting this information, you really want to establish early on who is going to get this information. When you report the data, you really want to paint a picture of where we are today, and then you want to align the reports with the goals that you set. So if you do the documentation review and one of your goals was to evaluate medical necessity, maybe your review uncovers that medical necessity is not an issue. So that goal will need to be adjusted to align with what you're actually seeing. One of the things I want to tell you is that clinical documentation improvement programs for physician offices is a relatively newer concept, so you make it work for your organization. Step number 4, educate, 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 educate. When you do your documentation reviews, it does not matter if the provider that you reviewed didn't have any issues. It is still important that you communicate to that provider what their documentation looked like and just encourage them to continue to do what they're doing, but also make sure that they know to reach out to you if they have any questions. Education of our clinicians really takes place all year. Annual code updates, we should be doing annual compliance training. This is critical to really collaborating with our providers in helping them paint that clinical picture via the documentation. So now you've completed those 4 steps, and the 5th and final step. Now you may be thinking that, okay, I've done the 4 steps and it's over. No, 5th step is do an impact assessment. How effective were the goals that we set forth? How effective was the tool that we utilized? How effective Was the documentation review tool, process, workflow, where there's some bottlenecks where you experience challenges with that? That's critical because you want to ensure that when you do it all over again, and yes, you will have to do it all over again, it's a continuous process. You want to evaluate what worked, what didn't work, and what you can do to improve. I know that this sounds like a lot. If you need help with establishing your clinical documentation improvement program, Physician Practice Resources is here to support you in this journey. You can call our office, or if you want to know more, visit our website.